Hi everybody, and welcome back to TerraFirmaPunk. As you can see, I've been doing a little bit of work in the background. I've been planting some crops, all those seeds that I found last episode. And I have also been working on some ceramics. I haven't found any more surface copper yet, but there is more than one way to find copper. For instance, panning for metals. All you need is a little flowing water, and it helps if you know where the chunks are. Because when you exhaust an area, you exhaust it in that chunk. So that all you have to do is go on to the next chunk to continue your work. But basically, you just pick up a pan full of sand and rinse it out in some flowing water. And rinse and repeat. And keep rinsing and repeating until you get some stuff. Like this piece of copper. 5 more of those and I'll be able to make one tool. And I already know which tool I'm going to make. And 5 copper. Of course, excuse me. Of course you need 10 in order to make a tool, but if I add that with the 5 tetrahedrite, then that adds up to 10. Now I need an extra one of these vessels, so I'm going to have to cook one of those. And while I'm at it, I may as well take care of making the tool mold as well. Alright, so we have our mold. And I decided to make as many vessels as would fit in here, because you just can't have too much storage. And 8 logs. And a torch to set it off. And yep, it is in the afternoon, so it takes 8 game hours for it to finish cooking. So it'll probably be dark by then. So we'll just check up on it again in the morning. In the meanwhile, I think I'll chop down a tree or two while I'm waiting. If you want saplings, you actually have to break the leaves by hand on these trees. Oh, and these guys are fun. But they'll go away if you axe them nicely. Okay, a couple more saplings to replace the tree I'm about to chop down. And I figure I'll just tack a few logs on this cabin here and expand it a little bit. Just to give myself a little bit more elbow room. And elbow room. I know it's not a whole lot of building to be proud of, but it does give me a little more space to work with. I'm going to need a saw before I can build a proper house. But that will come in time. So in my headcanon for this mod pack, I have decided that, towards the end of society, a lot of machines were used for creating bodily mods for people. Making cyborgs, in fact. And they gradually became more and more autonomous. So as the human organs actually eventually rotted away after society died, the machines would still keep running. Although a few of them probably still remember being made of flesh. So even if they don't have a digestive system anymore, they still hunger. Okay, so my fire went out, which meant that my pottery was done. And I decided to risk going out and grabbing it. So basically what we do next is we put in our copper. And we cook it in the ground kiln just the same way we were doing before. So drop it in here, cover it with straw. Some fires will function in the rain and some won't. A campfire won't, and a forge won't. But an earth kiln will. So by morning, that copper should be nicely melted. And I'll be able to make my first metal tool. And copper. It's actually daytime, so there's probably not any real danger from the mobs, but just the same. We're ready to pour our tool. And for my first tool, I have made a sword. It's always nice to have something handy for self-defense, but the real reason that I made this is for a visit to my local library. I've also brought some extra wood to build a quick shelter in case I need it. but hopefully I can get done before dark. Oh, it's a plum tree in fruit. So that's pretty nice. Let's see if I can take a sapling home. All right, one plum tree sapling. And there's our library. However, it's already 5 in the afternoon game time, so I really should think about a shelter. Oh, but at least the rain's over. And hopefully I won't find that I'm making a mistake by making this one smaller than previous shelters. Really, I should be fine as long as a witch doesn't happen upon me. Okay, moon's almost down, so the sun's almost up. And I'm going to call that close enough. And string. Okay. And now that I have a sword, I can harvest these spider webs. And I want a total of 18, but I have a couple of them at home already. So I just need 8 more. Which I should be able to find on the second floor. And yeah, there's a book spawner, as I expected. Actually, I expected this one to be a spider spawner. Of course, it doesn't really matter which it is, as long as I can get out of here before it gets dark. And I can take some of these shelves with me, too. But yeah, plenty of string. And off I head for home again, with a jug of water to speed me on my way. Now I think I will see if I can get a couple more saplings. Or, you know, just 2 ought to do. We'll just leave the rest of this tree here. Okay, so I have my string back safe and sound. So, I still need one more tool. There's always one more tool. So we're going to pan for some more copper until I can make that tool. Which should be pretty soon. And I now have 10 more copper, which is enough for 1 more ingot, which is enough for a tool. And there's a spider on my house. Cool, more string. It's really hard to have too much of that. Okay, so we're making another tool. I've already taken care of the clay part. So I just need a few more logs. And I may as well save the leaves and see what saplings I can get out. Alright, so we have our ceramic vessel, we have a saw mold, and we have our straw, and our logs. And in 8 hours, we will have a saw. And copper handsaw. And as soon as I can empty out some of my inventory, I'll show you what I can do with it. Okay, so the saw is probably as important to getting out of the Stone Age and into civilized times as smelting metal, because you need it for just about everything. You need it to make workbenches, you need it for chests, and let's not forget water barrels. You're going to be using water barrels for quite a lot. Not only are they good for gathering rainwater, but you also are going to need them for things like making leather, alcohol, which you'll be needing for lamps, and as well as curing jute for string. But the main thing that I wanted to use the saw for was making some oak planks. So I can make this. A sieve from Ex Nihilo. Now, this doesn't give you all the stuff like the sieve from Ex Nihilo does in most other mod packs, but it does give us another way of coming up with copper. As you can put sand through it for various old items from the old world as you strain them out. This would be more impressive if anything was actually coming out, but I seem to be rolling ones a lot right now. Oh, there we are, a piece of native platinum. But a lot of other things you will find in the sand, and even more so from gravel, such as old gears, pieces of various metal, old coins. You know, basically examples of the old technology of the old world. Or you can strain dirt to get seeds. But the important thing right now is that it is another way to come up with copper. Which is good because I still need 20 more pieces before I can actually mine any copper. In the meanwhile, I have some tomato seeds and corn and onion seeds, oh, and garlic that I can plant later. Right now, there's one other thing I want to make. A door. Of course, when working with the sieve in TerraFirmaPunk, different types of soil will give you different kinds of results. For instance, chalk sand will net different minerals than diorite sand or andesite sand. And unfortunately, chalk sand and chalk gravel don't give us any copper. Which means it's back to the pan for me. But before I do that, I suppose I should cover the sluice. Now what we do with the sluice is we give it a little bit of a watercourse. A straight line is really easier to work with, but I just ran out of space to work with here. Anyway, we put the sluice down at the end of it, and then you just pitch some sand into it. Except that I got off to the wrong start here. There. If you see water at the bottom of it, then you know it's going to work. And then you just pitch some sand into it. As it goes to the sand, it'll pull out the minerals that can be found within a certain radius. The bad thing about it is, though, it also exhausts the soil so that you can't use a gold pan on it. And it really doesn't actually pull out enough minerals to really make it worth the while. but I just thought I would mention it just for the sake of completeness. Now, these old cyborg zombies from the past are another example of what happened near the downfall of society. As society went downhill, we leaned more and more on machines to fulfill the essential roles of society. Police, military, and even athletes, apparently. But you can see these examples of old police in Callahan and Mahoney over here. Still wearing their police armor. Okay. I finally have my 20 copper nuggets. And my beach looks like crap. Since I've dug all these trenches and holes, panning for copper. So, at this point, I can finally melt this copper and make a couple of molds for a prospecting pick, a regular pick, and a spare clay vessel just to fill up the hole. But since the time of day is only 1 p.m., yeah, this should be done about 9 p.m., which will be well after dark. So I think I will actually wait to ignite this until late at night if there's no mobs about, or right after sunrise if there are mobs about. In the meanwhile, our plants are getting close to being done. I wasn't sure if it would get done before winter, but it looks as if the weather's been kind to us. At any rate, very soon I will have all the tools that I need to go on a proper mining trip. And I hope to start on that for next episode. Until then, have some fun, build something cool, and have a nice day.